risk level, which would be what we use to tier the vendors. And then, of course, we look at residual risk after remediation has occurred and update that as necessary there.
Excellent. So, how would you, in general, how would you tier, or let me rephrase this, how would you communicate effectively third-party risk to your senior management?
Sure. And just to make sure I'm understanding the question correctly, like the importance of third party risk.
So there's a risk you've identified that is a pattern within a strategic vendor of your business. How would you communicate that to your leadership?
Yes. So what I would do in terms of communicating the importance of that is definitely relating that to the business risk. So how is that third party risk going to affect the business process or just in general the business risk? So I think just relating the third party risk to the business risk and business impact.
Got it. Okay. So the other question I have is, how do you keep yourself abreast of some of the main challenges around third-party risk in the industry? What do you do?
Yeah, I would say and just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, like I guess the general like issues that come up with third party risk management.
Yeah, for example, you could have Gardner report talking about third-party, Deloitte reports, Big Four reports, and how do you keep abreast of all those issues noticed worldwide on risk of third party?
Oh, perfect. Thank you for explaining that further for me. Yeah, I would say generally what I like to do is I like to like follow, like you said there, Gardner bringing out reports. So following sites that would provide updates on that there. So just
Yeah.
signing up for like email alerts, and then also trying to follow like podcasts that might talk about that on
Okay.
there. And then you have these companies also like ServiceNow, OneTrust, Vendor Reminder. They carry like webinars that talk about
Okay.
kind of like engaging or developing or changing third party risk management.
Got it. So let's talk about this. So you identified a critical vulnerability, across wide one of your service providers. However, the vendor's patching timeline was not clear. How would you undo that?
Oh, sure. So the vendor's like patch release timeline
Yeah.
is unclear. So we're not sure what the timeline is to implement that patch for the vulnerability.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I would say what I would do in that instance or scenario is to first of all like reach out to the vendor first to get an understanding of when we can have like a timeline to actually patch that vulnerability. And in the meanwhile, internally, I'll try to see if it's something that I guess if it's a critical system that would cause like disruption or downtime would cause disruption. I'll try to see if there's like any compensating activity or control that we can implement to kind of like safeguard during that wait period while we wait for a patch. So I guess internally I'll check to see if it's like a critical system or application that downtime could cause disruption. If it's not, definitely seeing if we could keep a halt on that or at least stop usage of that application. If not, if
Okay.
it's something that could cause disruption, looking at compensating controls or
All
activities.
right. Tell me a time you had to make a hard decision to terminate a vendor's contract.
Yes, so I would say an instance for that would be in a situation where I was carrying out, so this was already an onboarded vendor, and we had like documentation for the vendor and everything. And so one of the key risk indicators that we use is the number of exceptions in the particular like due diligence process for the vendor. And so it had the number of exceptions had gone beyond like our acceptance criteria, and so I had to communicate that over to the business owner to let them know that they had kind of exceeded that metric that we had for them. And so this was a step that we need to take in terms of termination.
Okay.
And so this was also contract, this was a clause that was noted during the contract phase.
Okay. Got it. How would you assess immediate risk and mitigation strategies while minimizing business disruption in general? So you identify the risk. We need to have a strategy to mitigate the risk. However, we don't want to disrupt business at the same time. A good example was Log4j happened to a lot of Windows servers, and most organizations were impacted by this virus. At the same time, we had to run a business. So how would you kind of, what's going to be a strategy for you to say, well, let's mitigate this, the impact and still make sure we resolve the issues at hand?
Yeah, I would say in regards to managing security consciousness and
Yeah,
usability, what I would do in that process is firstly just going back to see if there are any compensating activities or like controls we can
yeah.
make use of in the meanwhile, that they might not necessarily stop that risk, but at least they can minimize the impact that would have happened if like there's a materialization of the risk. So I definitely say just trying to find compensating controls or activities that we can implement in the while we focus on like a long-term remediation.
Okay. Why do you think your expertise is the right one for this role?
Yeah, I would say my expertise or what would make me stand out for this role, what would make me stand out for this role, I would say it would be my balance between both. Because let me backtrack with that. So
Yeah.
with GRC in general, like it's very easy to just like I guess report on a risk. I think there sometimes isn't that ability there's a lack of that ability to balance security consciousness or focusing on security hygiene and also the business context. So I think from my experience, I've been able to learn how to strike that balance between, okay, being firm with making sure
Mhm.
that we're staying secure, that we as the organization are secure and also staying secure, but also looking at the business perspective to make sure that this is something that we're able to implement that is going to be able to work within that business context or business process.
All right. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes. In regards to, I wanted to know in regards to like your organization's current third-party risk management program, are there any like pain points or future goals that the organization would like to reach or focus on?
I think one of our big concern right now is the advent of AI models and large learning model all over the world right now. So for our third party strategic vendors, we are always worried that confidential information is not shared within their model to unauthorized access. So that's a big pain point for us. And in our service ticketing system like Jira and ServiceNow right now, we don't know if confidential information are shared in those platforms also at the moment. So it's a constant, ever evolving challenge with our third party vendors right now. So I think that's our biggest concern right now.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Sure. Any other question?
No, that would be all for now.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Let's pause. Ladies and gentlemen, give feedback, please. Before I give a final feedback. Okay. I see a lot of people say very detailed. That is good. Okay. This is great from Bumi Fadiora. So Bumi has been very detailed, also giving some good, valuable questions. So thank you for those questions, Bumi. Those were awesome, folks. Those were really, really lovely questions you gave us. All right, let's another ones. Okay, Amaka says she's hired. Okay, all right, we'll take that anytime. All right. So here's my own personal take. Personally, I think no doubt the the confidence level is there. You are very articulate and detailed. You have a good sense of the role itself because you take it from a real life angle. The only area I would challenge you is you can always sneak in a use case to say, well, I had this before, this was what happened. So you have the knowledge base, but tie it with a story and a use case for me so that I will just follow your story, right? Yes, you gave me some concept, but just relate it and take ownership and say, that's a good point. I had a vendor that was actually one of our service providers in the cloud space, and this is what happened. You're not giving the confidential information, but you're creating a story and a narrative they would probably be dealing with right now too, right? You can say it's about network monitoring vendor or our infrastructure vendor, something that that most people already are, familiar with those issues. We just sneak that in our conversation for sure, because that would tie the humanity to it. So people will just bingo, she got it. She's identifying with one of our current issue, and that makes us more comfortable. Okay, I like that. Somebody said, very calm and confident. I love her answering style. It also is a popular. I've learned from the interview she's very knowledgeable. Love it. She is indeed. But remember, she put the work. She put the work. I'll tell you, she's just very articulate. Okay, use the star approach. I like that too. That would help with the story. So in your story, sneak in that, hey, one of my clients, the situation was this. You kind of just make it flow way better. Somebody said she's superb. I love that. Okay, somebody said very professional. I would add specific story to a real case at a real job on your resume. Perfect. That's a good point. So make sure you just tie to a story to make us work with that. All right, that's really good. I mean, honestly, folks, oh man, you know, the universe would always open for people that put the work and effort. I mean, so I think personally, I think it was a very good interview. I think it's a no-brainer. I will be very comfortable to hire you, and you show the energy, the excitement, like someone that I just wish I can get on my team because she will research it and figure it out. Because at the end of the day, don't forget, nobody wants a dead beat to just be in my team because you have past knowledge. People want execution. So I need someone that you don't need to know everything, but you can go figure stuff out, right? That's what we all need because the world has changed anyway, let's face it. So, I mean, amazing job, really. So let's do our normal drum roll. Let me find you. Let's give you a grade as we always do. Okay, this is for the upcoming program. All right, drum roll. Grrr. All right, I would definitely go with a 5. Remember, if you get a 5 in our community, that is pretty good. That's the highest we typically go. So we try to force our community to go push it to another level entirely. That's what we challenge you to do. So that was very well done. See